You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
Good morning, guys, and happy Friday, wherever you are in the world today. I'm really excited to welcome our guest today, Josh Thompson from Idaho. And he is the founder of Brightbeam SEO, and he helps service-based companies scale with Google Business Profile Optimization, local SEO strategy. I know the audience has heard of SEO, but there's a difference with local SEO, and he's also going to teach us how to use Google Maps for service businesses. So really excited to have him. So Josh, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Glad to be on.
Yeah, I'm really briefly introduce yourself, and I'm excited to dive into the conversation.
Yeah, okay. So my name's Josh Thompson. I'm in Idaho, Boise, Idaho, and I have been doing anything that I could get my hands on with websites and marketing basically since I got out of high school. So it was about 20 years ago. And I started with I created a lead. Me and my brother created a lead website, and we were getting financial leads, and that led into a few other businesses. And so that kind of led me here where, in my opinion, the local SEO is what's going to be sticking around while AI is taking over a lot of the regular how-to SEO kind of stuff. Yeah, that's how I've started building over the last few years, is focusing more on the local Google Maps, like you said, local SEO.
Yeah, and what an interesting. And so one thing that like I alluded to before, the audience has heard of SEO, but how does they use blogs? Usually it's blogs or YouTube or podcasts, but how should one think about using local SEO? Like, how do they know if they're doing local SEO versus the traditional SEO?
Yeah. So I just naturally myself break it down into local and national SEO. A lot of companies out there offer a product or service that may be national, may be international. You know, I have a lot of background in insurance, and that's like a national thing. It doesn't really go outside of the US because a lot of other countries can't use our insurance companies. But within the US, right, if I'm in Idaho, I might have to get a license in Utah or in Florida or whatever to be able to sell insurance there. But I could sell insurance from my house to anyone in the world. So that's national SEO. I might be trying to get people who are searching for just generally life insurance or some kind of insurance. That's like a search that is more going to be just broad to everybody all over the country. So that's national SEO. Local SEO is, hey, I need a plumber or a dentist. I'm not going to travel out of my state to get that. So it's going to be more focused on your local area and on customers who are you'll either be going to them, right, or they'll be coming to your business, but it's going to be in that local ecosystem.
Yeah, interesting. And how does one get started with doing local SEO? I know you work with clients, but how does one get started?
Yeah. And are you talking about from my perspective or like from a business like a business wants to start in their local area? Is that kind of the question?
Yeah, like a doctor, dentist office, lawyer, and they want to start using local SEO to get leads.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I was just talking about this yesterday. For some reason, I have an affinity for people contacting me that are just getting started. right? So I talk to a lot of people who are just getting started with the business. And so I love helping people who are just getting started. I don't know. It's exciting to me, right? Like those first steps are always hard and they're always exciting. The first thing that anyone is going to want to do typically is they usually look for a website, right? That's what most people do first. But I think what a lot of people miss is that more important than a website with your local SEO is going to be the Google business profile, right? That Google map pin, right? There's two types of businesses you can have on Google Maps. One's a service area where you don't have a location that actually shows up. And then one is a physical location where you're going to actually show up on the map with a location. So, a doctor or a dentist, those typically aren't, somebody's coming to you, right? So you're going to already have an office and a location. So what you'll do in that situation is you'll need to make sure you have signage up, and then you'll go and tell Google that you have a location, and they'll have you prove it. There's a few different ways you can do that. And then once they've approved that, you're going to show up on the map now, right? So if you're just a family practice doctor, right, and somebody searches for family practice, now you'll show up somewhere on there depending on where your location is and the person searching and where they are. And now local SEO is the process of, okay, now how do we get you to show up higher and higher in those results when somebody is looking for a family practitioner, so that you can eventually be one of the top three, if not the number one person that shows up, and actually get the business, right? That's the ultimate goal, right? Yeah. That's local SEO, and that's getting started generally.
Yeah. Interesting. So one question I have for you is, you Google profile, Google business, and then what's the number one mistake home businesses make when trying to rank on Google Maps?
Yeah. And I think the number one mistake is that a lot of businesses either don't have the time or just generally ignore their Google Map profile, right? So they're not actually doing anything with it. Maybe they haven't even claimed it. So on the reverse side, if I'm just a patron at a business, I can just tell Google, hey, there's a business here, right? And Google still wants to put that business up. But if you don't go in and claim it, then you can't respond to reviews and make posts and do all the things that are in the profile, right? So I would say, what I like to say is, just by getting active and trying to get reviews, responding to reviews, putting up posts, just by being active in your Google business profile, you're going to be doing more than 95% of your customers, right? Or not your customers, your competition. Sorry. Because most people aren't doing anything. That's the biggest mistake you can make, is just ignoring it, right? And that's what I see a lot. So there's a lot of benefit from just getting involved. You can be getting customers by just staying involved in your Google business profile and getting reviews and doing those things. You'll start to see benefits. Now, how quickly will just more depend on the competition in your area and in your niche. Everything is relative, right? But I think that's a good first step for most people, is to just get involved.
Interesting. And the other question is, how long does it take to start seeing results? Because you've helped take companies 10 calls a month to over 200. How long does that type of growth take? What are the core steps?
Yeah. And I wish I had a really solid answer. I think, once again, the answer is always going to be relative. So if and I'll give you two kind of customers that I'm helping right now. Okay. One is a carpet cleaner, and man, the guy works so hard. I love him. He's awesome. But his competition, they're getting like 10 reviews a week, because the reviews are always hard to get, right? But it's going to be relative to jobs. So if you're doing 20, 30 jobs a week in a carpet cleaning business, right, then, and you're asking all those customers, then there's a high chance you're going to be able to get a lot of reviews. So he's trying to get going and trying to get the reviews, but his two biggest competitors are getting a high volume of reviews. So for him to get to that level is difficult, right? So he's having a little bit of a tougher time breaking out in that market because he just has such high competition who's taking it seriously. Now, that might not be the same if he was in a different city, right? Because it's all relative. Contrast that to a landscaper that I've been helping out. No one's doing anything. It's actually surprising to me how little people are taking their reviews seriously. So he is probably getting 4 or 5 reviews a month. And that velocity, I'll use that word, which is basically Google uses the average number of reviews that each business is getting right now. He's getting more reviews on average per month than all his competitors. So that's helped him already start to get a lot of calls and traffic. If you want a real answer for yourself, and if you're the business owner, then the best thing to do is go look at the top 3 people in your area doing what you do and see what they're doing. And that gives you a pretty good baseline of what you have to do if you want to either match them or if you want to start beating them. You got to start doing more than they're doing, right? So reviews are the big currency of local SEO and Google Maps. So that's usually a good place to start, is just understanding how many reviews do my competitors have? How many are they getting on average a month? And that gives you a good baseline of what you probably need to do to get in the game.
Yeah, the reviews. The follow-up question I have for you is, what type of businesses? Obviously, it sounds like doctor, lawyer, dentist, accountants, like these firms at physical location. What about marketers, or a lot of people are public speakers, consultants? Where do they fit into local SEO?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I can give you a little bit of insight into my business, right? So I am a person with a strong B2C background, right? That's the businesses I owned and ran, was business to consumer, right? And now as I try to help businesses be good at business to consumer, I've now become a B2B business, right? And B2B business is, especially in those local services, is weird because, yeah, I am competing with the people in my city, but anyone can offer SEO services, and you can do that. So once again, that national SEO comes into play, right? If I'm a dentist, I can use somebody in my local area to do SEO. I can use somebody in New York. I can use somebody in India. There's no boundary to where somebody could be helping me. So I think the same thing goes just really with any business, is look at your competitors and what they're doing. If your competitors are getting most of their leads from Google search, right? So not the local map, but down when you go past the local map, or if you just do a regular search, right? Is that where they're getting leads? Is it Google ads? Is it LinkedIn ads? I think you just have to look to where your competitors are getting the primary bulk of their business from, and then use that as a template to copy. So I would, I guess, more thoroughly answer your question, if no one's getting if you're a public speaker and no one's looking at your competition, they don't have Google business profiles. They're not looking for local search at all. They're not even trying. Can't hurt to try, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in something that isn't working for your competitors, because most likely there's a pretty good reason for that.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So really interesting. And so you help clients with, and so for the audience, Josh's resources. So talk a little bit about your mindset that's helped you, because you've been in this for quite a while. And what is your approach to just success and business and personal development?
Yeah. I could go into a whole history of my life and that. So I'll try to keep it brief, but I think business at its core is, as boring as it sounds, it's all accounting, right? At the end of the day, everything comes down to accounting and investing and trying to spend $1 to make 2. So that's what I really try to focus on for me and for the businesses I help, is where are you going to get that return? And I feel bad for a lot of business owners that they don't understand the game being played on the ground, and they end up getting taken advantage of, I would say, by somebody who's just willing to sell them a solution that may not actually solve any of their real problems. So I think I think going back to that, my philosophy is try to become more of an accountant, understand what you're paying for, try to follow your numbers. The best business owners know their numbers. They know how much they spend, how many leads they're getting from that, right? How many sales they're getting from that. And then they look for ways to improve those. If you don't know where you're trying to improve, it's hard to improve. And I find that a lot with home service businesses. A lot of people get stuck running the jobs and trying to get the jobs done, and they don't have the time to sit down and do their numbers and try to build a business. So the sooner you can start thinking like a business owner, I think the better. And I try to apply those same principles into my life and finding what's going to work for me and the businesses I help.
And how can people contact you and find you and follow you if they're interested, if they listened or watched this podcast?
Yeah. Josh at brightbeamseo.com is my email. Brightbeam SEO is our website. Pretty active on Twitter at Brightbeam SEO. And those are easy ways to get a hold of me.
Excellent. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your expertise, and thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah. Appreciate the time. Thanks.